What if her silence isn't confusion but a weapon? What if the moment she walked away, she wasn't looking for answers, she was sizing up yours? No one tells men this. Hidden law breakups rarely end with sobs, they end with strategies. This isn't romance, it's reconnaissance. Every unread message, every minute you stare at your phone, is data she studies. Right now, your heart is the battlefield. And the algorithms are emotional. She knows every play, ghosting, the cold shoulder, the carefully staged selfie with another guy. Each is a sniper round aimed at your composure. Will you plead? Will you broadcast a late-night post just to bait her attention? Most men cave. They chase. They over-explain, spilling paragraphs that sound heroic but smell like panic. Every text you send, every story you upload, doesn't prove love. It proves predictability. That's the millisecond she realizes your emotions are hers to program. But that isn't why you're here. You're here to flip the script. This is the Stoic Spirit. A tribe where men don't beg for presents. We magnetize respect through absence. We don't rant. We don't rationalize. We become untouchable. And here's the paradox: the instant you detach, her mind starts spiraling with doubt, wondering who you're becoming and whether she miscalculated the stakes. You want her regret, then stop performing. Stop posting. Stop explaining. Drop into disciplined stillness. Go dark. Go silent. Go stoic. If you're tired of decoding her quiet and ready to stare truth in the face, hit like, smash, subscribe, ring the bell, and declare in the comments, clarity over chaos. One click, one vow, and we begin. Remember, stillness isn't the absence of feeling, it's the mastery of it. The man who governs himself dominates every room without uttering a single word fully ever. Number 1. She left to hurt you, not heal herself. They won't say this out loud, but not every woman walks away to find herself. Sometimes she walks away to find out how hard you'll fall. It wasn't a tearful goodbye. It was a calculated exit, a strategic retreat designed not for healing but for impact. You thought she needed time to reflect. No, she needed distance to observe. She's not in some quiet retreat lighting candles. She's watching mutual friends, your feed, your reactions. She's tracking your collapse without ever sending a text. Every "the spirit" message, every "I miss you" post, every attempt to fix what she shattered doesn't win her back. It feeds her ego. It validates her control. And worst of all, it tells her you're still hers, even after she left. Because this wasn't about resolution. It was about power. And silence is her move. She doesn't need to block you. She wants you obsessed. She wants you pacing at night, questioning what went wrong, checking your phone like it holds salvation. And if you reach out, she doesn't even have to respond. Your effort is enough. It fuels the illusion that she's still significant. You keep telling yourself she's hurt too, that she'll realize what she lost, that maybe she's just as broken. Stop. That story is the cage. If she truly cared, she wouldn't vanish to punish you. She wouldn't test your value through silence and absence. Someone who respects you doesn't try to destroy you emotionally just to feel powerful. This isn't heartbreak. This is emotional chess. But you're not a pawn. You're the board. This is your moment to flip the dynamic, not through rage, not through explanation, through stillness. Stoicism doesn't mean you feel nothing. It means you don't hand over control to someone who weaponized distance, She's not your downfall. She's your reflection. She exposed the very place you relied on her for worth. So now you don't react. You don't chase. You don't explain. You let her sit in her silence while you rise in your stillness. And when she sees you didn't flinch, you didn't fall, you didn't beg, that's when regret hits. Not loud, but quiet, precise, and sharp. Number 2. Pain is the greatest teacher if you let it enroll you. Heartbreak should sting. The problem isn't the wound, it's the bandage you grab. Most men sprint for numbness shots and clubs. One night rebounds, infinite scrolling, motivational memes that taste like sugar. They drown a bleeding soul in noise. But that ache doesn't drown, it drifts, waiting for 2 a.m. silence, or that one song on repeat. Dodge it, and pain owns the lease on your mind. Yes, pain is savage, but it is brutally honest. It never flatters. It points to every place you outsourced your worth, the applause, the validation, the image of real man. You thought love would stitch the holes, patch the ego, carry the identity. Wrong. That wasn't love. It was dependency wearing perfume. Here's the paradox. Sit with the hurt. Stop running. Stop blaming. Stop sedating. And the flame changes color. Pain becomes discipline. Diesel fuel. A voice whispering, never again. Real strength is poured in the furnace. Forged in nights no one sees. Born the moment you quit asking, why me? And start asking, what's the lesson? Pain is a scalpel for illusion. It slices fantasy from fact. She's gone. The woman you worshipped may have been half imagination. Feeling abandoned isn't weakness. It's exposure data about the places you lean too hard. Use that data. Hammer with it. Sharpen with it. Evolve. This isn't moving on. That phrase is cheap. This is reconstruction. Next time you love, it will flow from surplus, never from starvation. Next time you show up for someone, it's because you've already shown up for yourself. Someday the sting will fade, but the memory will still counsel you the day you stopped chasing, stopped begging, stopped dissolving into someone else's narrative. Pain is the professor. Stop cutting class. Let the ache become a compass, not a cage. Each throb is coordinates back to purpose. Hit the gym when memory stings. Open a book when loneliness growls. Write goals when tears threaten. Align habits with the lesson, and pain becomes routine. Routine becomes momentum. Momentum becomes sovereignty. The same hurt that hijacked your nights can now finance your future. Respect the tuition paid in sleepless hours. Cash in by upgrading discipline. Wallet, body, mindset, and fierce grit. Number 3, the power of silence is louder than rage. They told you anger is powerful. It is not. It is predictable. She expects the drunken voicemail, the midnight wall of text, the public meltdown that screams, "I still orbit you." That's confirmation, not resistance. Your fury is a neon sign flashing her name over your peace. Want to shatter her expectations? Say nothing, do nothing, post nothing. That is the move. Because silence is not emptiness, it is control concentrated. She ghosted you, dropped questions like broken glass. And your reflex is to explain, to seek closure, to retrieve dignity with words. Don't. The moment you speak, the scoreboard flips against you. Every syllable is proof. she still rents space in your head. Stoicism is not numbness, it is disciplined allocation of energy. Right now, her account is frozen. No replies, no indirect quotes, no playlist about heartbreak. The strongest men do not act unbothered, they simply are. Your stillness is not performance, it is default. And here is the reversal. Silence starts echoing back toward its sender. She hears it in unlocked screens at night, feels it in the scroll that finds no trace of you, tastes it in the hollowness of each selfie that fails to trigger a response. She does not regret because you pleaded. She regrets because you vanished, because you mirrored her tactic with flawless execution. Emptiness handed back is heavier than any speech. Now the questions stalk her. Why isn't he reacting? Did I misjudge his worth? Was I ever significant? Silence is a mirror polished with restraint. Remove your noise. And she is left alone with the raw footage of her own choices. Most people can't bear that screening. If she walked away to hurt you and you refuse to flinch, doubt blooms in the dark and regret grows teeth. So win quietly, go mute, not as manipulation, but as principle, a living declaration. I don't explain my value, I embody it. Let your absence weigh more than your presence ever did. Leave her to converse with the void she crafted. That void is now your fortress. Inside it, peace returns, focus sharpens, and the kingdom of your mind crowns silence as king. Number 4. Stop explaining yourself. Let her wonder. The moment you start explaining yourself, you hand over control. Every message that begins with, "Let me tell you what really happened." Every line that says, "I just want you to understand." Every effort to clarify isn't strength. It's performance. It's a silent cry for validation. And once you seek her validation, you've already given up your frame. You're not defending truth. You're asking to be seen, to be forgiven, to be chosen again. But here's the harsh truth. She already wrote the script. She decided what version of you made her look better for walking away. Maybe you were labeled cold, distant, selfish, or emotionally unavailable. Maybe now she's playing the victim, projecting blame, crafting her exit as justified. But that narrative, that's hers, and it's no longer your job to rewrite it. A man rooted in Stoicism doesn't beg to be understood. He doesn't waste breath on someone who stopped listening. He walks, without noise, without a press release. And here's where the power flips when you stop explaining. You become unpredictable, and mystery is magnetic. She starts to wonder, why isn't he clearing his name? Why isn't he fighting back? Was I wrong about him? That uncertainty begins to eat at her. Not your words, your silence. Let her sit in the version of the story she created. Let her wrestle with the fact that maybe she never really knew you. The truth doesn't need to shout. It endures. And real ones, they feel it, even in your silence. Let the gossipers gossip. Let the curious speculate. You owe no one a public breakdown or a biography explaining who you are. Because most explanations are just veiled attempts to stay connected. They sound like closure, but they whisper, "Please, still think of me." Cut that off. If she wanted clarity, she should have stayed. If she's curious now, let that curiosity sit in silence. Don't correct false narratives. Don't defend your evolution. Just keep evolving. Your stillness, your refusal to defend yourself, that's what keeps her awake. Not the arguments, not the apologies, but the mystery, the silence, the strength. Let your growth speak for itself. Let your life become so focused, so disciplined, so elevated that her version of the story no longer even fits who you've become. You don't explain your worth, you live it. Number 5. You were the prize. She was the test. You thought she was the prize, the one you had to win, so you tried to impress her, to keep her close, to prove you were enough. You adjusted. You overgave. You bent your standards, not out of love, but out of fear. You thought loyalty meant full access, that if you gave her everything, she'd never leave. But here's the truth. She was never the prize. She was the test. The test was simple. Would you abandon yourself to keep someone else comfortable? Would you trade your peace, your mission, your non-negotiables just to hold on to her presence? And when she walked away, it wasn't failure. It was feedback. It revealed exactly where you were weak, where you needed external validation more than internal grounding. That version of you, the one that overfunctioned to be loved, he had to go. He was built on insecurity, not identity. Because loyalty without boundaries is not strength, it's surrender. And the irony, she was first attracted to the man who stood firm. But when you made yourself too available, too adjustable, too eager, she stopped respecting what came too easy. That's human nature. People don't value what they don't have to earn. Now comes the shift. The moment you stop chasing, stop auditioning, stop trying to prove your worth, you begin to reclaim your frame. You realize you were always the asset. You were the structure. You were the fire. And now, you walk differently. You speak with fewer words, but greater weight. You enter rooms with calm certainty instead of nervous energy. You no longer need approval from someone who failed to recognize your value when it was freely offered. She was never the destination. She was the checkpoint. The test wasn't about winning her. It was about seeing yourself, the parts of you still seeking validation in someone else's eyes. Now you rebuild. Now you focus. Now you level up in silence. And the man you're becoming, even you admire him. You become so steady, so self-led, so locked in, that being someone's maybe feels like an insult. You're not angry she left. You're grateful because she didn't break you. She revealed the cracks you finally chose to reinforce. Now that you're grounded, you don't chase. You attract. You don't beg. You bless. You don't explain. You exit. You weren't chasing a prize. You were passing a test. And you passed the moment you walked away without looking back. Number 6. Control the mind, or be controlled by her memory. The most lethal part of a breakup is not her exit, but the echo, the highlight reel your brain loops at 2 a.m. Every laugh, every lipstick memory, every last goodbye in slow motion. She doesn't have to be present to own real estate in your head. One scent, one street, one photograph, and suddenly she's drinking your focus rent-free. That is how men lose months, even years, scrolling old messages, refreshing feeds, narrating imaginary comebacks. You call it processing. Stoicism calls it irrational relapse. You cannot edit the fact she left, or the manner she chose, but you can edit the caption you paste onto every memory. Ask, was it love or warning, treasure or classroom? Does this snapshot fuel me or drain me? If it drains you, cut it like poison. This war is not with her. It is with the curator in your skull. Because if you let a memory command you, she keeps walking through your life without lifting a finger. Detachment isn't optional, it is survival. Control begins with discipline of attention. When an image ambushes, pause it, label it data, strip the soundtrack, mute the color, inspect the lesson. What did it expose? Where was I needy? Which boundary was missing? Then redirect. Gym, journal, quiet breath. Each rep rewires the loop. Understand, overthinking is nostalgia, wearing perfume. Scrolling is self-inflicted, torture marketed as closure. Stop paying for pain with minutes you cannot refund. Your mind can be weapon or weakness. Choose rituals that anchor the present. Showers at dawn, sunlight, philosophy at lunch, weights at dusk. Routine is the trench where memories cannot find footing. Remember, neurons link to what you repeat. Repeat chaos, inherit case, repeat focus, win freedom. Guard inputs, mute her stories, archive her thread. Make phone a tool, not a shrine. Master the frame, or be framed forever. Her memory is only powerful if you keep narrating it. Silence the narrator. Write new chapters. Because the only thing worse than losing her is losing yourself to someone who isn't even there. Number 7. Attention is currency, and you're spending too much. Every thought you give her, every glance at her profile, every memory you revisit, it's all a payment. And the price, your energy, your clarity, your momentum. Attention is not free. It's the most powerful currency you possess. Where you place it determines what grows. You think it's harmless, scrolling her stories, liking old photos, asking mutual friends, even just daydreaming about closure. You think it costs nothing. It costs everything. Because attention is focus. Focus is energy. And energy is power. Every drop you pour into her ghost is a drop you steal from your own evolution. This is what no one tells you in relationships. The one who needs less always holds more power. When she walked away, she didn't just end something. She initiated a test. Not of love, but of discipline. She's watching. Not your texts. Your silence. Not your stories. Your absence. She wants to know, can she still own space in your mind without ever saying a word? And the more you respond, even energetically, the more you confirm she still matters more than you do. Even your healing becomes fake if it's just performance. That gym selfie, that deep quote that I've moved on post, if the motive is her, you haven't moved anywhere. Real detachment isn't loud. It's not poetic. It's not a battle cry. It's the man who stops checking, stops reacting, stops narrating. He builds, he locks in, he reclaims his mind. She fades, not because she was weak, but because you stopped feeding her power. Attention is leverage, and what you ignore defines your strength just as much as what you pursue. Every moment you replay old conversations is a moment you didn't spend leveling up. Every second you wonder what she's doing is a second you didn't build your empire. She knows how deeply you once gave. That's why withdrawal hurts more than any message ever could. Want her to feel the loss. Don't scream. Don't post. Don't chase. Withdraw. Fully. Not to punish, but to reset. To restore. To remember who the hell you were before she blurred your vision. When your energy vanishes. When your presence disappears. When your attention is no longer hers. That's when it hits. That's when regret creeps in. That's when silence grows louder than any goodbye. Because your attention is power. And power, when spent right, is unforgettable. Number 8. Attraction grows in absence. Not begging. You want her curiosity back. Disappear. Attraction is an ember. It blazes only when air surrounds it, not when you drown it with constant breath. Every extra text, every nostalgic meme, every just checking in, voice note pours neediness on that ember. Need signals one message: I have nothing brighter than you in my sky. The instant she reads that, gravity flips, mystery dies. Desire starves on certainty. If she knows you'll appear with every ping and vibration, her mind quits, drifting toward you. So, reclaim your orbit. Silence is the vacuum that makes sound travel farther. Step out of her feed, off her radar, out of her daily head count. Most men fear that space. They sprint to fill it one more photo, one more apology, one more proof of devotion. What feels romantic to you registers as dependence to her. Proof of need never equals proof of worth. Stoic distance is not punishment, it is alignment. You pull attention back to mission, to brothers, to body and craft. Absence whispers, my life advances whether you applaud or not. No subtext. No cryptic lyrics, just visible progress. When your presence quits her phone, alchemy begins. Questions surface uninvited. Where did he go? Why doesn't he watch my stories? Who owns his focus now? Doubt is the seed. Scenario, building is the water. Time is the sunlight. All you do is remain silent soil. Will she return? Maybe. If she ever respected your essence, silence rings like cathedral bells. If she never did, silence shelters you from future waste. Either outcome is victory. Remember, absence is not a mind game. It is proof of self-sufficiency. When you no longer need the stage, the audience wonders why. Exit without spectacle. No door slam captions. No farewell soundtrack. Just forward momentum. Let new habits replace scrolling echoes, dawn lifts, heavy reps, profit plans at midnight. Spend attention where it compounds skills, networks, purpose. Withdraw it from unrewarded speculation. Attraction grows in gardens you don't guard. Seeds sprout under darkness. Roots spread unseen. Give her that darkness, not hostility, just absence. If she wants light, she'll follow the heat of a man who burns for progress, not permission. Begging asks, do you still want me? Absence states, you must earn me again. Choose statements over questions. Choose silence over oversharing. Choose power over proof. Your quiet exodus is the loudest love letter she will ever be forced to read. Number 9. Your success is the loudest revenge. Forget the arguments. Forget the explanations. Forget the long texts trying to make her understand what she gave up. The most powerful thing you can ever say to someone who left you is silence. Not because you're bitter, but because you've outgrown the need to be understood. You don't have to prove she was wrong. You only have to prove you were always meant for more. Let her hear about your success through whispers in rooms she's no longer in. Let her see you rise in places she can't reach anymore. Not out of spite, but out of purpose. This isn't revenge. It's resurrection. It's rebirth. You don't need closure. You need momentum. You need to disappear so deeply into your mission that her memory becomes a footnote in the story of your rise. Write chapters that don't include her. Build a legacy that doesn't need her validation. Turn every wound into wisdom. Every ache into action. Let your transformation speak louder than your pain. Because when you stop reacting, when you stop posting, explaining, proving that's when you start becoming dangerous. You become a mystery, a man she can no longer predict, no longer control, no longer categorize. And in that silence, in that distance, she'll wonder, not when you text, not when you explain, but when she hears your name attached to growth, to peace, to power. Your glow-up won't come from spite. It will come from discipline, from long nights, from realigned values, from the weight you now lift, not just in the gym, but in life, when you become unrecognizable, not because you changed to impress her, but because you finally became who you were meant to be. That's when the silence hits her harder than words ever could. And by then you won't need her to notice, because you'll be too focused on what's ahead to look back. You won't need to say, "Look what I've become," because your presence will say it for you. This isn't revenge. This is revelation. Proof that she was never the destination, only the detour. So win, quietly, deliberately, brutally, and when she finally realizes what she lost, you'll already be too far gone to care. Number 10. Detachment isn't cold, it's clarity. Detachment is misunderstood. People see distance and assume frost, mistake silence for apathy, stillness for emptiness. But detachment is not the absence of feeling, it is the presence of discipline, the choice to guard inner weather from outer storms. Coldness is lack, clarity is control. You still feel, but no longer hand feelings the steering wheel. You once bled on command, one unanswered text, one cancelled plan, and your pulse spiked. You'd send paragraphs, discount dignity, hoping her validation stitched the wound. Then you learned the cost. Now you pause before replying. Check motive before movement. Treat peace as a non-negotiable budget item. That shift unnerves spectators. She may say, "You've changed." Correct. Stoicism calls it sovereignty. Observe without possession. Love without addiction. Care without collapse. You can miss her and still decline the call. You can feel loss and still hold the throne of your mind. People respect gravity they can't shake. When her silence fails to rattle you, doubt circles back to her doorstep. You don't tweet quotes about growth. You set alarms. Stack wins. Lift heavier. Read deeper. Progress becomes broadcast. Detachment isn't apathy toward others. It is allegiance to self. Old you needed confirmation. New you needs alignment. Every temptation to react is an invitation to fortify. Every message you leave unanswered hardens focus. Eventually, you wear stillness like armor. That quiet hum speaks louder than argument. If she valued you, the echo of your absence will ring. If she didn't, the buffer protects you from further waste. So detach not to escape emotion, but to let emotion flow without chains. Not to close the heart, but to polish the lens. Clarity never shouts. It stands steady, bright, undeniable. This is prelude, not epilogue. Detach from what drains, anchor to what builds, and let the empty space sketch your silhouette in minds, still looking for the switch they can no longer find. Because true clarity leaves no handle to grab, no button to push, no crack to exploit. It simply exists. A silent verdict that ends every debate before it starts. So here's the truth. When regret arrives, it will whisper, not knock, no apology, no midnight confession. Just that late-night scroll where she sees the void you left, how you vanished, leveled up, became untouchable, Pride will muzzle her. Ego will handcuff her. And she will remain silent while you remain sovereign. This was never about revenge. Revenge is needy. This is resurrection. The man who begged, explained, compromised himself just to keep someone else he's buried. Standing in his place is a disciplined, focused force who no longer trades peace for attention, who no longer asks permission to breathe. You don't need her to admit she lost something. You only need to become someone who doesn't care whether she notices. Let the silence speak. Let your progress echo. If you're finished chasing ghosts and ready to reclaim every ounce of your power, do 3 things right now. First, hit like to seal the commitment. Second, subscribe and turn on notifications so this mindset stays loaded in your feed. Third, drop a comment. My silence is strength. Declare it publicly. Live it privately. Your legacy starts now. The next move is yours. This is the Stoic spirit. Stay sharp. Stay silent. Stay sovereign.